What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cast Interference. I remembered it this time. I've just been putting too many puns on these shows, and you suffered the brunt of it yesterday too.
I did. No guarantees is something that could be taken a lot of different ways, and you take it for what you will. We'll let the people decide what no guarantees means.
Yeah. So I was trying to think. I was like, well, there's not a lot of things that like I can really make out of O'Gara, and then so I was like, no guarantees. That's pretty good. And then it makes it sound like whoever the guest is like, no guarantees what we're going to talk about, dude. Just sit down, and shut up. Here we go. Should be great. Should be great. No, this is another episode of Cast Interference. We've gotten like a lot of feedback from this. It's been really good, really positive. Not after today. We're going to talk about it's not a ranking. I think it's an interesting topic, right? So I was thinking, which defensive coordinator do you think would best help Ukraine? But no, I'm playing. That's a joke.
Phil Mickelson.
Right there it is. Okay, I thought about this the other day because there are like SEC fans are obviously super passionate, right? Like, and there's a lot of people. So I got dubbed by somebody as a joke the other day as a FOG, which is a football only Gump. So it's a Bama fan that only likes football. And I was like, okay, sure. And I hate this whole hipster. Bama fans are the worst about it, in my opinion. This like hipsterish, like, no, I like all the sports. Like football's not even my favorite sport. Like it is. And you can admit that, it's fine. And you also like the other sports. But the SEC is so passionate about this, and there's so many other sports that programs are good at. My question is, what fan base year round in all sports or in the most sports possible do you think is the most passionate? And I'll let you think on it for a second. Yeah, I know it's tough. So, like, I feel like I have a definitive answer, and there's a lot. It's not taken away from anyone else because it's really cool to see, like, like I think when I first started working at SDS. And I grew up watching, I was a huge football fan. I loved college football. And I didn't watch college baseball because I played baseball. It was like, I watched basketball, but I didn't really care about the basketball stuff as much when I was little. I just watched like March Madness. And then you start seeing some of these things, like the college sports is just blown up in general, right? And I sat there last year, and this is where I came to my answer. And maybe it was just, I was like, maybe it's just that year. Maybe it's just this year and there's excited, there's nothing else going on. Arkansas, in my opinion, has the best fan base in terms of passion year round. And I think that's for a lot of reasons. I think there's nothing else in the state, right? Like what else do you do in the state? You've seen Ozarks.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's such a lazy thing. You could do that for every single
I'm not even done with the point.
You could make
there's
the
a ton to do in Mississippi.
Come on.
There's a ton to do in Mississippi.
I don't buy that argument. I hate there's nothing to do in the state argument.
There's no other sports programs
are passionate.
I
get that.
Okay.
My only point is that you could find a million different programs and say the same exact thing and say, well, they don't have this passionate of fans. And just because it's, one Division I program in that state, right, you would say, which that's not even the case in Arkansas, because Arkansas has Arkansas State. Whereas if you go to Nebraska is the only Division I school in the state, and that gets used all the time. But I hear this said for so many different programs, so many different things. It's like, even when I went to Indiana, people are like, oh, there's nothing to do in the entire state of Indiana. So naturally they just have this overwhelming passion for basketball. It's like, well, It doesn't just come out of nowhere. So I think it takes away from the passion, because I agree with your point 100%.
Well,
that was one of the first two schools.
How you agree with it. So there's that.
Well, I agree. Okay, I agree with the point about Arkansas fans being as passionate as there is. And I've been doing Hit That Line, the radio show in Arkansas, for the last 3 years. Right. And I hear the passion. I talk with Phil Elson all the time. He calls baseball, he calls women's basketball for them. And obviously he's very plugged into that scene there. John Neighbors, Ty Richardson, our guys. So I've seen that passion play out in a way that I think is easy to be consumed by. And I think there's something that's not arrogant about it. They genuinely care about all of their sports. Baseball looks second to none. I would love to be able to go to a game up there. So I agree with you 100%. I had one other fan base in mind when you brought that up.
Okay. Well, I'm going to finish my point real quick before you make yours.
Okay, sorry.
God. Okay. They're the only show in town, basically, is what I'm trying to say. We'll get past that point. But it's the fact that I feel like there's other factors that go into it. Like, okay, if you're a football only school, right? Like I'm not saying this necessarily about Bama. And I know those fans will be upset about that, but that's dominated their fanhood for a long time. Arkansas, like they haven't always had the best football team. And so I think that kind of maybe factors in that you have to get passionate about other stuff, because there's also been success in a lot of other areas, right? Like you talk about basketball winning a national championship in the mid 90s, beating like a powerhouse like UCLA. You've seen what Musselman's been able to do there. You watch the Auburn game. Like that's like argument enough right there for like a regular season game to sell out and storm the court and all that kind of stuff. Sam Pittman's brought a lot of this back and people are excited again. You start beating teams like Texas. And I think that breeds a lot of confidence. And then you talk about the baseball too. And so you hit all three major sports year round, not to mention what they do in track and field, in cross country and stuff like that. It's crazy. So I think when you talk about baseball, especially because there's a lot of schools in the South that get excited about baseball, and you have these really incredible stadiums, like minor league stadiums, basically, and prospects everywhere. But I just think from what we saw last year, especially going into this year, baseball, and I know they came up short, like one game, which they won out to in the College World Series, but the best program in the country for most of the season. Basketball making the Elite Eight. Football this year kind of getting back on track, winning 9 games, and especially with how quickly he's turned that around. It just feels like those three sports, you see them show out every single game. And I think it's very unique and very, not just because there's nothing going on, Connor. Now you go.
Sam Pittman loves him some Hot Springs. That's his jam. And somewhere when you said, hey, they're the only show in town, intern Butch Jones just got really, really mad as the head coach of a certain Arkansas State program. You're right. Arkansas fans they are so passionate. They care about a variety of different sports. Fan base is really, really good. Another fan base that came to mind, I think Florida fans are up there. Okay. I think Florida fans care a lot about other sports. Now, I know they had some issues, I think, with baseball attendance. That was a big thing a couple of years ago. And I think they were kind of getting priced out with the way that all unfolded. But a really, really passionate fan base that cares a lot about basketball, maybe a little bit too much. And that's kind of hurting Mike White at this point, being the guy after the guy with Billy Donovan. But I kind of look at them up and down and I'd say, yeah, that's a university where, Scott Strickland can't just care about football. The SEC often gets labeled by others, Big Ten included, as only caring about one specific sport. If Scott Strickland approached that job with that mindset, he would not have his current job, because their fan base is really, really crazy about, getting into not just basketball and baseball, but I mean, even gymnastics and, LSU gymnastics. That's one of those things that's become a crazy thing. Auburn gymnastics now with Suni Lee has kind of become this like unbelievable thing that fans like truly care for. And like, that is worth the price of admission in itself. And so I think it's kind of cool to see the SEC broaden its horizons. And that's the beauty of having all of this money, is that you can continue to build up facilities and use it for that way.
No, I think that's a really good point. You brought up the gymnastics thing. We got to talk about that for a second, just because of the fact that, like, I was having this argument, and it's going to shock you, on Twitter, which is the best place and most conducive place to find an agreement, is on Twitter. And so we were talking to, like, I think I was talking to like Auburn fans, because Auburn fans have kind of shifted into this whole basketball mode, right? And I know that 95% of them are doing this out of jest, but they're doing it to piss off Bama fans, and it's hilarious to watch. It's this whole, like, we're blue blood, we're basketball blue blood, always have been, and Bama fans are losing their minds because, like, statistically, Bama's second behind Kentucky in the SEC in all these major categories, right? But Auburn fans just like knowing how to get under the skin, and it's been hilarious to watch. But there's a few of these programs I think that have come out with like the gymnastics stuff, and that to me, it's really awesome to have that kind of support for multiple sports. You see, like, you have stars now, right? Like you said, Suni Lee, it blows my mind. She like went off and won a gold medal and was like, all right, now I'm going to start my college career. And then it's very casual. Yeah. You have the girl at LSU, and I don't know her name. I don't want to say it because I feel like
Dunn.
Is it like Olivia Dunn? Or
Linda Dunn?
It's not Linda. She's young. There's no way it's Linda. There's no one under 40 named Linda, I don't think, anymore. They're like aged out.
Fair.
It's something with an L though. You're right, and I can't think of what it is. Liv?
I don't think that's
it.
I
should look it up. Okay.
I don't know. You shouldn't go on this way.
No, absolutely not. No, but she's kind of brought all this excitement to LSU, and now you're talking about gymnastics meets being on TV on Friday nights, like on ESPN and stuff like that. I do wonder, the majority of people in the crowd, like, I don't know much about basketball, I would love to give like a quiz and just see what kind of like are there that many passionate, knowledgeable gymnastics fans out there? Or is it just like, I like those colors, that's my team, do the flips, I'm here for it?
I think there are things in gymnastics that you can kind of pick up on, sticking the landing, what's gonna lose points with the judges and whatnot. That's a big part of it. Floor routine, you can't be going out of bounds and doing all that. Like there are basics that you can pick up from being able to watch that I'm sure if you have gone all in with gymnastics, which there are a lot of different SEC fan bases that have done that you would pick up on, even just watching the Olympics. I mean, by the time that you're done watching one of these made up X Games sports that the Winter Olympics has suddenly just gone all in with, by the time you're done watching that, you're like, oh, that's a deduction right there. Oh, yep. See, you can't do that. You got to have your balance through. Oh, that's a Japan grab. That's not going to work. You didn't complete the Japan grab. You pick up on certain things. And if something is really, really good, that's the best way to be introduced to a sport. And perhaps that's why the SEC has gotten this way with non-football sports.
First off, I got to go Google what a Japan grab is for one, but two,
it's pretty cool.
I hope this turns into how football is and how basketball is. And I guess how baseball is probably too, which is just like, I just want some, it doesn't have to be drunk, but it has to be just some big oversized, like SEC fans, like, come on, ref. Like when like the gymnastics, like if they get like a lower score than they're supposed to, I want to see that. Like that's the next step for me, is like overreactions from the fans that we see in every other sport, but in gymnastics meets and other things like that.
You want heckling. You just want heckling. You want the Vandy Whistler to be everywhere. Yeah, that's what you're advocating for.
The judges at a gymnastics meet, I want them to like full on like toss somebody, like it's an umpire thing. Like you're out of here, sir. You're out of here. The language is
like over. A Joe West. You want that in gymnastics? That's what the sport needs.
Right from the ear.
Oh God, Joe West is retiring, so maybe he's going to do that in his free time. He's just going to, instead of making country albums, he's going to start reffing gymnastics meets.
He made a country album?
Oh, yes, he did. Yikes.
Got
a lot of things to Google after this.
I know, for real. All right, last thing, and we'll keep it like somewhat brief. You're from Chicago, so you're a big Cubs guy. And Bears,
I'm repping Horace Grant right now.
I like that. But so we had this conversation yesterday. We were filming something and I was wearing an LSU shirt, and everyone that knows me knows I grew up a Bama fan, and that's who I pull for. But I was wearing an LSU shirt because we've been to LSU, we've been to Baton Rouge and gone to games at Death Valley, and I have friends there. And so my thing is like, I love college football. I want to get as many shirts from different places as possible, and just like collect this and that. Because I just love the sport, and I love the sport. Like now, I wouldn't necessarily wear an Auburn shirt. I don't think, like, probably wouldn't wear that LSU shirt on game day. I don't know, but like the amount of people that were grossly offended by me wearing that as a Bama fan was kind of comical to me. I just want to get your take on like I feel like for baseball, like I wouldn't wear a Yankee shirt. I couldn't do that. And you hate the Cardinals, like, so like where do you draw the line on stuff like that?
We're in a different space with that, because you are, what's the best way to say this? You are out as a fan, right? Yeah. Like it's very well known that you are an Alabama fan. You don't hide that. You don't try and hide that, nor should you, because it'd be really, really weird if you did, given where your fandom is at, right? Like that's fair. It's a part of who you are. It's part of your identity. Right. So, we can have those lines blurred in sports media. It's not that you can't be a fan. And, even Bill Simmons, who's like as big J as there is still considered, the sports guy. He's a fan, he's a Boston guy, and he outwardly roots for his teams. I have kind of been able to shift away from that. And my perspective is very different now. I'll rep pro teams or something like that. Or, every once in a while you can catch me, wearing an Indiana shirt because I'm an Indiana graduate. Like, all right. Like I went to school there. I paid tens of thousands of dollars to be able to wear the Indiana alumni shirt. I'm going to wear it. Right. So for me, that's a little bit different. I could never, ever. And I actually just I find myself giving stuff away. If I get like college apparel or something like that, something that reps a specific team, I'll just like give it away. I had a Tebow jersey that was sitting in my closet that was given to me, and I wore it one time as like a joke in the SDS offices. I actually just gave it away to my buddy who's a Florida fan. I'm like, well, he's going to have more use of it than I would. So why wouldn't I do that? But I could never, ever wear anything Cardinals related. I couldn't do anything Packers related. I'm not an owner, so I wouldn't want to do that anyways. But I would just be sick to my stomach doing anything like that.
Right.
When Adam Spencer and I had our bet of, hey, if you like, we had a picks bet that started at the beginning of the season, and I was the loser of that, and I had to change my profile pick to something Cardinals related, which is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
I just did Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, because that was an easy
good play
out of it. But yeah, I have a different perspective on that than you would.
That's fair. I didn't realize how many rivalries you and Adam had, because it's the same.
Adam and I don't get along.
Yeah, it's totally opposite, right?
I mean, Adam like roots for Illinois basketball too, which is a little bit weird. Like, I mean, Cardinals, Packers, it's everything. And the fact that Adam and I have been able to coexist in this world, in this company together, is kind of a minor miracle.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, that's gonna be all for today. I think it's a good point, the perspective thing in there. I feel like I'm not gonna blame myself for getting to this point and wearing these other shirts. I think I just dated too many girls with Auburn. I think it's just the main problem. So I gotta get back to my roots. I gotta start getting that hate in my heart again. But until next time, Connor O'Gara, I'm Chris Marler. Thanks for joining us, guys.